Well, hello there, people of the world, and as always, welcome to my channel, Circles a Lot. You're cool, I'm cool, we're all super cool. So I just finished a 1-week trip to Sturgeon Bay with the continued evaluation of the CHETAITAI Wuyi medicine cooler travel case. So as you know, I finally decided to go live and take this product that I imported from China on my first live trip, transporting live medicine product. And so this video here just basically reports out on this experience. Quick spoiler alert, the trip was very, very successful indeed. So let me jump on in and show you what I got. And so as always, here are my disclaimers. As you hopefully know by now, I'm on a personal quest to find the best medicine travel cooler cases that are out there for my personal travel needs. So all of my data is my own, all of my views are my own, and I have no sponsorship, not interested in that. So hope you enjoy the video. Alright, so just to give you a quick overview of the live journey. So as you know, I'm based out of the Bay Area in California, so I typically get a taxi to the South San Francisco airport, and this time this was a connection flight. So I first went to St. Paul's, Minneapolis, where I spent maybe about 2 hours at the lounge there. Got a connection flight this time to Green Bay, and then from Green Bay it was by car. A family member picked me up, and it was just about 45 minutes to an hour to get up to Sturgeon Bay. So total journey time here was about 11 hours. I also, so I took my medicine dose on the Tuesday, so I traveled on the Sunday. I took my medicine dose on the Tuesday, and then I continued to take measurements, let the travel cooler, USB travel cooler, run continuously throughout the entire trip, and then also on my journey home, which was again about 11 hours. And so I'm going to show you the data on all of this in this presentation. The return journey was actually basically the inverse of the outbound journey, so all the same connections, just in the opposite direction. So here's just a quick peek at the CHETAITAI product. So I've showed this in a few of the earlier videos as I've been journeying, exploring direct imports from China. And then hopefully, as you know, the thing that's really got me interested in this particular product is that it has the ability to control or set the cooling temperature. So it's not just fixed like some of the USB coolers. You can essentially through a touchscreen panel basically dial in a temperature from 0 to about, I think it's about 20-25 degrees centigrade. So let's keep on going. As you also know, I paid about $47 for this product. It basically came bare bones. It was just the USB flask, USB cooler lid, and a USB cable. So in order to take this on a trip, I had to, let's say, accessorize it with a variety of things. And so this slide here really just kind of overviews all the different pieces of accessories that I added. So let me walk you through that. So the first one is, as you probably noticed, the USB port sits on the top of the device. And of course, I like having my battery in a carry case on the side. And so the first thing was to find an ergonomic cable that allows you to right angle from that USB port, sort of snug into a carrier case pocket without having too much kind of wire dangling and stuff. And so I happen to have a cable that's called the CAN Renon. It's a 240 watt USB cable with all of the correct angles, and so I use this for my live travel setup. As you know, I've also been using little medical bag ID tags. I've been noticing that sometimes when you go through TSA or security at the airport, the USB cooler attracts attention from maybe the newer agents or security agents or someone that's in training or whatever, or someone that's just never seen one of these before. And so I've been often flagged for secondary inspection where they wanted to kind of look at this thing a little bit more closely. So I've been trying to find ways to reduce that kind of secondary inspection rate, and I've been actually finding that by having a medical bag tag on your cooler, it seems to prompt the TSA inspector to understand quite quickly what this is. And so I've been noticing that my secondary inspection rates have actually, I feel like they've been going down a little bit from where I have been in prior trips. So anyway, so I've been using these medical bags. I also have a little keychain, a metal one that sits on the front, which I like to use as well. And then for this particular trip, I actually the carry case that I've been using has a little mesh pocket that surrounds it, and so I've also slipped in this medical equipment tag inside that little carry case mesh, just to really go all in. I don't know, maybe it's excessive, but anyway, I'm just reporting out on what I did. For the travel, I have two Tempi.fis. One sits on the outside of the case, which you can kind of see here in the mesh bag. In prior trips, I used a keyring to anchor it directly to the carry case, but because my the latest carry case that I've been using has a little mesh bag as well, I just popped it into the mesh bag. And then the second Tempi.fi goes inside the container and sits with the medicine product. Now for this trip, I was only carrying one pen, and so actually what I did was I attached the Tempi.fi to the pen, but I placed it kind of low in a lower position towards where the handle is, so that I would sort of get a temperature reading more towards the base of the container. One note though is actually in the prior testing, the temperature distribution between the different areas of the CHETAITAI is very, very good. It's almost not noticeable, so I don't know that it matters too much exactly where you place this, but anyway, that's what I did. And then of course, as you know, I'm quite keen on my Inu power adapters. They're 20,000 milliamp. They're the classic Inu, and I usually travel with at least two of these, occasionally three. For this trip I took two, which you can kind of see here. Actually, this picture here was at the club lounge at St. Paul's, Minneapolis. What else can I say? Okay, yes, and then as you know, the USB lids can be, the little display panel can be quite bright, especially when the cabin is dark, if it's kind of a flight that people are trying to sleep in or whatever. So I always like using kind of a webcam or a lens cover to kind of shroud that that sort of temperature gauge that's kind of lit. And so actually the shiny FX webcam cover that I was using for the For All Family Voyager actually fit perfectly well over the display panel for the CHETAITAI. So you'll be able to sort of see that in different places, sometimes open, sometimes closed. And then actually also just note that having this in position did not affect the touch sensitivity of the panel when you needed to change temperatures. So just a little sort of pointer on that. So yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say about this slide, but just wanted to give you a sort of a taste of how I set myself up for this trip. When I go on a trip, I typically put all the main components just directly in the fridge, so that's what I did this time as well. So I sort of chill everything down to refrigeration temperature, and then that way when I'm preparing to actually pack and leave, I don't need to cool down the USB cooler to temperature and then transfer the medicine. Everything is basically ready to go. Sometimes I've used Ziploc bags to keep the moisture low, more so to just protect the drug product from moisture than anything. But this time for this trip, actually, I just didn't bother. I just went in directly into the fridge with the USB cooler and the sort of the USB lid and the flask. So okay, let's keep on going. And so let me show you a few pictures of my journey here. So this is at SFO, so San Francisco Airport. There were some kind of cool shots here as I was going, just after I got through the security line, then hanging out, having a nice little breakfast. I think it was like 4:30 a.m., first flight of the day, at the Delta Lounge. This was a Delta flight. And then that I liked the picture here on the right here, where I could sort of get a reflection of the plane at the gate, but also a little bit of a reflection of the terminal. So let's keep on going. So, you know, sometimes it gets a bit boring just to show photos, so I figured, I'll add in a couple of the video shots that I took as well. So the terminal at SFO was actually very quiet in the early hours of the morning. Actually, I was really surprised I was able to get this shot here where there was basically no one there. So just to tell you about the planes that I was on, so there was the main part of the flight, sort of the SFO St. Paul's Minneapolis piece, was a Delta 737 Boeing, and then for the small flight to Green Bay, it was a Delta Embraer E175, so kind of a smaller plane. And then those are some stock photos on the right there of what the seats look like. Also, just in case you're curious, I highlighted my seat positions here, the outbound in orange and the inbound in red. So just in case you're kind of curious as to exactly where I was sitting. And so just a little bit of plane action there, and a close-up of how I set myself up in my seat. Actually, frankly, it was pretty straightforward. The Delta chairs have quite a deep pocket that's in front of you, and I was originally going to slide the cooler under the seat, but then I sort of realized actually you could just drop it right in the pocket and it would be fine. During takeoff and landing, no one seemed to complain that it was sort of a hazard or whatever. It was pretty secure. So yeah, it basically just sort of hung out there for the totality of the journey. And if you look carefully here with this photo, you can see to the sort of the bottom left there, you can see where the plug ports are. So this is where you can basically plug yourself in. So that's sort of what I did. I ran my charger cable from the cooler to the plug. You can actually get a nice view there of the lens cover that I was using there to hide the light from the display, so it's kind of in the closed position. So I thought you might find that kind of cool. So let's keep on going. So this is so of course I spent a little bit of time at the Delta Club Lounge at St. Paul, Minneapolis. Nothing really eventful there, just a nice sort of lunch. You can see unit 63. You know, as I said, I selected number 63 to do the trip, and it's still got the little tag there, and you can get sort of a different view of some of the little medicine tag labels that I was using. So then here's the second flight. It was a much smaller flight, but actually again the Delta chairs have this really kind of cool deep pocket, so I basically just sort of dropped the cooler into the pocket and left it there. And then this time, instead of the plug being on the chair in front of you, it's actually in the arm rest of your own chair, and so I sort of took a top-down picture there of the plug. Actually, this is the Anchor USB charger that I like using, and that runs to the cooler that's in the sort of the chair in front of me. So all of this was super easy. I was basically able to keep the USB cooler charged up for the whole time during these flights. It was pretty uneventful, pretty simple, and the power outlet was able to power the unit fine. So no issues to report or anything like that. Just want to show you what I did. I thought those were kind of cool videos. I thought I'd put them in. And then also one thing I will mention is for the totality of the trip, I actually set the cooler to 3 degrees centigrade. I felt that was kind of a reasonable trade-off between power and keeping things cool. I was aiming for, keeping things in the low 40s, possibly even a little bit lower, but really just staying away from being 1 or 2 degrees from the 46 mark, which is the thing that always made me very uncomfortable with the 4-all family Voyager, which you have to really get used to. But you can get past that barrier once you realize that it's a good product. So anyway, but I just wanted to mention that I was doing this trip at 3 degrees centigrade was sort of the unit setting. And so then, of course, we arrive at Green Bay Airport. And so they actually had this pretty cool car in the lobby of the airport. And so I figured I would take a quick picture of that. And the airport itself was surprisingly quiet. I think they only have a few flights a day, but anyway, all the better for me, and kind of a smooth travel experience. So I figured I would just show you what the Green Bay Airport looks like. It's actually, I don't think it's actually called Green Bay Airport. It has this Ostrenstrubel something name, which I can't quite remember. But so just a heads up, it has a funky name if you look it up. And it's very modern. It has kind of a lot of seating areas around the terminal. And it has, every seat basically has a port plug where you can plug USBs or chargers or whatever you want, and so it's very, very easy to find a place to charge. They don't have a Delta Club Lounge though, so if you're looking for one of those, they don't have that. And then of course the grand finale here of the trip. So arriving in Sturgeon Bay, I figured I would just put a nice little scenery video there of the lakefront with the medicine cooler. I took this just a little bit after I arrived, so actually I have live medicine product in the container while I was taking this video shot. So just kind of a heads up on that. So thought I would just leave you with a nice video of the sounds of the lake there before I show you the money shot, which is the data. So hopefully you enjoyed that sort of 30-minute zen moment there. So here's the story. Here's the data, which is kind of the centerpiece of the presentation. So I pretty much recorded the temperature continuously throughout the trip. So it was running from the sort of almost the night before the Saturday, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all the way to the sort of Saturday, Sunday. So this was sort of a 1 week data, continuous data. The black plot is the ambient temperature that was recorded on the outside of the CHETAITAI unit by the Tempi.fi, and then the blue plot is the recorded temperature on the inside of the container. So excitedly throughout the entire trip, this CHETAITAI, the number 63 unit, as you know, I have like 8 of these now, which I'm testing in various forms, performed very, very well. And let me sort of tell you about that. So as you know, for the first part of the journey, I was very, very careful. It was mostly running at 3 degrees centigrade. I did get a little bit dangerous and tried to play with it while I had live drug product in there. But of course, I was very nervous about doing that, so I didn't really push it too far, but I tinkered with going up to 4 degrees, going back down to 3 degrees. When I was on the flights and at the airport, I did play around a little bit with going a little bit lower and a little bit higher to see what that would do. But I would say I sort of chickened out and decided to go back to 3 degrees C and just sort of leave it there. And that 3 degrees 3 did very fine for me. It basically, hovered at the 41 to the sort of 42 mark throughout the total time. Then on the Tuesday here, the little red zone, you can see where I took my dose. You can see there's a little bit of a spike, and so I took my medicine dose for the week. And then of course the rest of the time I had a little bit more breathing room to play with the unit without worrying about temperature excursion with the medicine product. So I tinkered with it, I played around with 4 degrees, 6 degrees, went down to 0, 2, all of this. And so really kind of bumped it around to see how it would do. And it was, it basically performed the way I was expecting, in that you are able to dial in the temperature somewhat relative to its performance in relation to the ambient temperature that it's sitting in. Depending on the ambient temperature, there does seem to be a little bit of a sway in the ultimate temperature of the container, but that's sort of expected. This is not there's a little bit of subjectiveness to how these USB coolers work, so you really just want to make sure that they stay within the zone that you want. You're not going to get a fine 1 degrees centigrade performance under a whole wide range of different conditions and other things like that. So just just keep that in mind as you're playing around with these USB coolers. And then actually finally on the way back, I'm going to go to the next graph to tell you more about this in detail, because I've kind of zoned in on this. So let me show you this. So on the flight back to San Francisco, there was the small flight, but what I have here is you can see here in the green, this was roughly when the main flight from St. Paul's, Minneapolis to SFO took place. And what I did during this flight was, so for the first hour, I had it running at 3 degrees C. Then I dialed in 0 degrees C to see what would happen. Then I dialed in 2 degrees C, and then I dialed back in 4 degrees C to see what would happen. And so I did that during the flight because I was kind of interested to see, if sort of, changes in cabin pressure, changes in relative temperatures, different things like that would sort of mess things up. But actually, I was very happy to see that the unit performed very, very well, even in flight. It was quite interesting to see that it almost took about an hour for it to go from 3 degrees down to 0 degrees centigrade. So the process to chill down is quite long. It's about an hour. And then when you turn it back up, the process to warm back up while it's running is quite a slow one as well. It seems like it likes to take its time. I don't know why. But anyway, this was the data that I collected, and then of course, for the remainder of the journey there, actually the remainder of the journey is here. I had it, and then for the remainder of the data that I was collecting, I let it stay at 4C. Now the other thing I did was, when I arrived at the airport at St. Paul's, Minneapolis, which you can see here, I decided to let it continuously run on battery until the battery basically ran out. And so I thought this was kind of cool, because then you can sort of see, well, okay, this is like a 4 or 5 hour flight, and then on top of that, I taxied home and I let it sort of sit there overnight and stuff. The battery actually ran for 10 hours. So if you think about this, it was running for a while at 3 degrees C. It was running for about an hour at 0 C. Then it was running for about an hour at 2 C. And then for the remainder of the time, it was sort of hovering at 4 C. But I was really happy to see that, for the totality of that cooling energy, the Inu battery lasted essentially 10 hours, which is very nice. Had I not been so I don't know what you call it, had I not pushed it far with the lower cooler temperatures, it would have probably been able to go maybe another two hours or something like that. So I thought you might find this subset of data kind of interesting to sort of see. And then finally, there's a lot going on here, but so this was the data set from the trip that I just did, and then actually what I did here was I just grabbed the data set from the part 2 of my import testing video, and I just pulled the plot there for container unit numbered 63, and I was just trying to roughly see how the two compare, because during the initial testing, I was, most of the ambient temperature was around the 75 Fahrenheit mark, and then during this trip, it was quite cold. Sturgeon Bay is quite cold, planes are quite cold, airports can be chilly, and actually the ambient temperature was kind of more down to the 65 mark, so about 10 degrees Fahrenheit lower. And it was quite interesting to see that in spite of that sort of ambient temperature difference, the performance profile, the temperature profiles with different dialed in temperature settings was fairly consistent throughout. So I was very sort of happy to see that. So yeah. So there's my little sound effect as always, and hopefully you really enjoyed this video here. I'm just reporting out on my first live travel experience with the CHETAITAI medicine travel cooler case. This run I would call a complete success. I was very happy with the temperature dialing. In reflection, I think the one thing that I would say caught my attention as being maybe a slight negative over the 4-all family Voyager was I did try to sleep with the unit in the same room that I was in the guest room where I was staying, and I felt that it was just a little bit too loud in comparison to the 4-all family Voyager. So actually what I ended up doing was I ended up moving it to the adjoining bathroom where I could just sort of close the door, and it took care of that slight loudness or slightly louder noise that this unit has versus the 4-all family Voyager. So yeah, so I'd say that would be probably the one thing just to think about, that if you are staying in a hotel room, it is a little bit noisier than the 4-all family Voyager, but what I realized is that you can quite easily solve that by just sort of parking it in the bathroom versus right in the room with you. But other than that, this thing was awesome. It performed really well. I really like the ability to dial in a lower temperature. I was always very nervous about the 4-all family Voyager operating at sort of 43, 44 Fahrenheit. I liked how I could use this system and dial it down to sort of more like 41-ish, even lower if I wanted, but I sort of liked 41. And so that was achieved. And then I think the only trade-off to be aware of is that you will, of course, consume a little bit more battery power if you are trying to cool to a lower temperature. So the sacrifice there, it seems to be about 2 to 3 hours. So if you do go with a unit that's hovering at the 44 Fahrenheit mark, you'll probably get about 12 to 14 hours out of a 20,000 milliamp watt battery. But if you're using this one, you'll be more down to the 8 to 10 hours. So that would be the slight sacrifice that you would have to make there for getting that lower temperature. So that's all from me. I hope you enjoy this video. Just a heads up, I am on the road again in a few days for 2 weeks. So I've got an international trip coming up. I haven't decided which travel case cooler I'm going to go with yet. But just a heads up, I will probably be on the quieter side with responding to comments and emails and other things. So please bear with me as I juggle my day life, my family life, my travel life, and then also trying to keep things going here with this channel that I'm very excited about. So talk to you very soon. I am now going to switch gears and focus on the eBay project. And by the way, if you get an email from me about the little prize that I mentioned in a prior video, then congratulations to you. I will keep your name confidential, of course, but I just want to say congratulations to you for all of your valuable interaction and feedback with my work in this channel. So have a good one and talk to you soon.